What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cocktails in the War Room. Welcome to episode 221 of Cocktails in the War Room. I'm your host, Mistress Carrie, and welcome to the actual War Room where we started the show literally almost 3 years ago today. March 14th, 2020, we did our first episode of Cocktails in the War Room here in the room in my house that has the bar and also all of my military memorabilia and all the stuff I've brought back from my trips overseas. And we started getting together to kind of ride out the craziness of life. And 221 episodes later, we're still doing it. What's up to Mark? Shannon's here. Michael, Kim, Elsa, and Ash are joining us. Denise is here. Marcy and Alexis. Lisa is here. If you're new to the War Room, first of all, welcome. I'm Mistress Carrie, your host. I appreciate you joining me here, and we do this every Tuesday night at 8:30. If you're new, the War Room family, as they have dubbed themselves, would like to be able to welcome you properly. So you got to chime in on the comments and let us know that this is your first time in the War Room, and also let us know where you're watching from so that we can welcome you officially. Lots going on, and obviously you can see pillows and things flying around. If you're new to the War Room, you may not be familiar with my co-host with the wiggly tail over here. This is Wednesday, the Goth Pug, and yesterday was National Celebrate Your Pet Day or something. She got celebrated just fine. Can you stop clawing at me? We're just starting the show. She's very antsy. We did not do the show last Tuesday, and we didn't because I ended up going to see Bush and Candlebox at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway. And before I left to go to the show, Wednesday was in here sitting on the green couch in the War Room and was like, what do you mean we're doing the show tonight? It's like she knows the days of the week and she knows the time that we're supposed to be doing the show. And she was furious that we didn't do the show last week. So my apologies publicly, not only to you guys for not getting together last week, but also to Wednesday, who missed out on her opportunity to get snacks as she does. Wait, can you sit down nicely? Good girl. But the show was great. If you were at Bush and Candlebox, the MGM Music Hall, great place to see a show. I've been there quite a few times now. Sightlines are great. Bands always sound good. The bands were loving the hospitality area. They said the dressing rooms are really nice, that the food's really good. And the reviews of all of the artists that have been coming through some of these new venues in Boston have been really positive. So, whether it be the MGM Music Hall or Roadrunner, which is where Theory of a Dead Man, Skillet, and Saint Asonia are playing this weekend, or also Big Night Live, which has only been around for a few seasons over at the Garden. Lots of new places to go and see shows, and a lot of shows to make the appointment to go and see. Can you be nice? Back up. Back up. Be nice. Nicely. Sit. Paw. Other paw. High five. Thank you. Here you go. Go sit. Let's see. She wants more treats and belly rub, says Jessica. Yeah. Michael Voorhees says, what do you mean no show? We had a contract. I told you guys that from time to time I was either going to have to reschedule the War Room or I was just going to postpone it to the next week because sometimes things are happening on Tuesdays. And there wasn't a real opportunity for me to take the show on the road last week. I had family in town. There was just a lot going on, and there wasn't a way to reschedule. So I just decided to bump it for the week. Let's see. Jessica says, I absolutely love Bush. They were fantastic. They sounded great. And I got a story I want to tell you guys about the show. I met those commercials. He's the most fascinating man in the universe. Like those old commercials, the Dos Equis commercials. I met the real guy. This guy should, are you making noises? This guy should literally have his own show, and he's been offered a documentary and turned it down. Down. There you go. That's it. There's no more. So, I've known the guitar player from Bush, Chris Traynor, for a really long time. He was in a band you guys will remember from the 90s called Orange 9mm. He also was in Helmet for a while. And Chris and I became like friends when Bush did a rooftop pool party for us a few years ago at the Colonnade Hotel. And it ended up raining, and then somebody pulled the fire alarm in the hotel. We ended up having dinner, and then the fire truck showed up. And Chris and I have been friends ever since. And so anytime that I have an opportunity to see Bush, I always try to go and do that. And anytime we have a chance to catch up, he's been on the podcast. He was on the Guitar Gods podcast episode where it was Chris Traynor from Bush and let's see, it was Doc from Bad Wolves and also Mark from Lamb of God. All three of them got on the show to talk about like the differences in styles of music, inspiration, guitar riff ideas, songwriting, all of that kind of stuff. I'm due to have all of those guys back separately so that they can have their own episodes as well. But so Chris Traynor, I've known him for quite a while. Matter of fact, you guys know the last concert I saw before COVID was actually in Vegas at the House of Blues, that shortly after WAAF went off the air, which, by the way, was 3 years ago tonight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after 3 years ago tonight, WAAF went off the air, which is just so weird for me to think about. But after that, I ended up going to Vegas to a convention I was supposed to go to anyway. But I ended up going because at that point I was looking for a new job because I had just gotten laid off. And the last night of the convention, I had a chance to go and see Bush at the House of Blues. And that was the last concert I saw before the lockdown with COVID. And I joked in here many times that if I had known that seeing Bush in Vegas was going to be the last concert that I saw for a while, like I would have drank more. Well, I had a chance to make up those cocktails when I went and saw Bush at MGM last week. And so my friend Chris Traynor, can you stop? Hey, back up. Stop. No, I don't have any more cookies. They're gone. No, I don't have any more. No, I don't have any more. Carol said, as you said, it still sucks. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dwell because, you know, we've spent the last 3 years here in the War Room talking about kind of moving on from WAF being sold and, you know, getting laid off, and Mike Shue and I kind of forging new paths. And I think you guys have been on this journey with me for the last 3 years to see how far I've been able to go in the last 3 years and all of the things that are still coming on the horizon. So it's not really a day that I want to celebrate too much. It's just something I want to recognize and kind of acknowledge and then kind of move on from it. But the fact that it was 3 years ago today, in some respects, feels like yesterday, like a wound that is just not healed. And on the other end, so much has happened, both for me professionally and personally, that it seems like a lifetime ago. And so when I started seeing all of the memories coming up on my timeline and all of the references and all of the pictures that got shared, I really did get nostalgic. And I knew that this week, you know, this week is always kind of tough just because just like the anniversary of someone's passing or their birthday or a wedding anniversary, if you lost your partner, it just makes you feel kind of sad, but you also don't want to dwell in that sadness because you also still need to move forward. But the fact that it's been 3 years kind of blows my mind. So right after AAF went off the air, I went to Vegas. I saw Bush. That was my last concert. And I've kept in touch with Chris Traynor, had him on the show. He and I messaged back and forth from time to time. And when I found out that Bush was going to be coming to Boston, I reached out to Chris and I was like, hey, I want to make sure we have time to hang out. I'm excited to see you because the last time he and I were like in the same room in person was right before COVID in Vegas, even though we had talked virtually on the podcast. And so he was like, yeah, definitely. I'll see you at the MGM. It's going to be a great show. I did the same thing with Kevin Martin from Candlebox because he's been on the show multiple times, that I wanted to make sure I had a chance to see those guys. And I had a chance to see some old friends. I saw Chad Brandolini from Vader Percussion, who's been on the podcast as well. He was at the show. And so I ended up watching Bush from the side of the stage. If you're looking at the stage to the left, which is stage right, if you've ever done theater or been in a band, the perspective of stage right or left is the perspective of the performer. So if I were Gavin Rossdale, pardon me for being sexy, it would be my right. That's where Chris Trainor's kind of guitar world is. And just off stage is where his guitar tech lives. And so that's where I ended up watching the show from. And I started talking to his guitar tech, who I had never met before, but turns out is a freaking legend. And I don't want to dime him out too much and kind of name him because he values kind of his anonymity, but I want to tell you a little bit about him. So he has been a professional guitar tech for decades, and he has worked with some of the most legendary guitar players in rock and roll history and has been offered a documentary about his career from Netflix. And he turned the money down, and they offered him pretty significant money. And the reason why I know this is that I spent half the night trying to convince him to come on the podcast, literally almost on my hands and knees begging him to let me interview him because he has been the guitar tech for absolute and total legends. So as I was talking to him, and he's, tuning guitars, he's kind of telling me about some of the people that he's worked for. And so I wanted to run down some of his guitar players that he's worked for over the years. First and foremost, he was Prince's guitar tech, which, if you're a guitar player, Prince is always known as being this amazing frontman and performer. But in guitar circles, Prince is legendary as far as a guitar player. And a lot of people, including Rolling Stone magazine, who famously didn't list him as one of the top 100 guitar players of all time, which is why if you go back and watch that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony performance that had Tom Petty and I believe Eric Clapton, there were just all of these amazing guitar players, and they actually let Prince just solo. They were doing a tribute to George Harrison from the Beatles, and they played an extended version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps. If you go back and watch that, Prince, I think, was wearing like a red velvet suit with a bowler hat, obviously, because he's Prince. He just went off on this solo. And the reason behind that performance is that the guy behind Rolling Stone magazine is also one of the guys in charge of putting together the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. And so when Prince got left off of the greatest guitar player list, he knew he was playing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and he just went off. So if you've never watched this Prince performance, you got to look it up on YouTube because it's legendary. He just went off. And he is just an absolutely gifted guitar player. So the fact that this guitar tech that I was talking about worked for Prince would be a career maker in and of itself. Jessica says February 11th was 22 years ago that my mom passed away. So sorry, Jessica. That's what I'm talking about. Commemorating dates, but not dwelling in the sadness. The being happy that you're still here and trying to move forward and also honor the people that you miss. And so I try, if I'm looking at WAF as an entity, as a person, let's say, as a best friend or family member, which is how I looked at it, it's about honoring the legacy now and trying to move forward from actually the loss. George Harrison's son performed on there as well, says Bish. I don't care for most of Prince's music, but his guitar chops are unbelievable, says Mickey. Jessica says Prince is one of the best guitarists ever. I did watch it and it was amazing. Love that performance, said Shannon. So you guys know what I'm talking about. So as I'm talking to Chris Trainor from Bush's Guitar Tech, when he told me that he worked for Prince, I was like, whoa. He sees the expression on my face and he reaches into a drawer in one of his road cases and he started giving me guitar picks. So I want to show you guys some of the guitar picks that he gave me. So I'm sorry, Wednesday, but I'm going to turn your camera off so that, sorry, this hair is driving me crazy. It's in my face. So this one I'm going to show you first. That's the Wendy from the Revolution. What? Then he gave me this one and told me that it matched my hair. And that's Lisa from the Revolution. And when he saw that I was kind of nerding out, he then reached in and gave me this, which you guys might not recognize, but now you do, because I was wearing a Tool shirt at the Bush show, and he saw my shirt and handed me this, and I was like, how do you know I love Tool? And he just kind of looked down, and I was like, duh. He's Adam Jones from Tool's Guitar Tech, and gave me some of Adam Jones's guitar picks. I thought this one was really cool because it's like holographic and kind of see-through. Yeah. So now I'm really nerding out, okay? Then he tells me that he worked for Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi. You guys know how much I love Bon Jovi, that my high school bedroom was literally a shrine to John and Richie. So now I'm completely losing my mind. Then he says, yeah, and I also was Malcolm Young's guitar tech. And I almost fell on the floor. So he's giving me all these guitar picks. And he also has, and I didn't put the picture up here, but I promise you guys that maybe I can, hold on, let me see if I can get it on my phone here and I can put it up on the screen. So usually techs, whether it be McGee, the drum tech that I had on the podcast, or just any kind of tech over the years, they keep their same road cases. And they collect mementos from their careers. And hold on. Oh, here it is. And one of the things that this guy, and again, I'm not naming him because I don't want to blow him up. The reason why he didn't take the Netflix documentary that they offered him is that he values his privacy a lot. That he gets to work with the greatest guitar players in the world, gets to tour, travel the world, but he also, is incredibly protective over his clients, but also really wants his own anonymity. And so that's why he turned the Netflix money down. But his guitar, like the cases that he uses to set up his guitar tech world backstage, he's got all of these mementos from his career. And one of the things that he has taped to his road case, I want to show you guys this. I just have to shrink it down a little bit. This is I'll put it over here. This is a set list from when he was a guitar tech for Prince. And if you look, let me blow it up a little bit to make it a little bit easier for you guys to read. This is 29 songs and all the little scribbled notes, the lines, those are his notes about when to change guitars, how to tune for songs. So those are the guitar tech notes. But he let me take a picture of this set list that he keeps kind of taped on the inside lid of one of his road cases, because obviously Prince is no longer with us and he worked for Prince for a really long time. Michael Voorhees says, did he carry around a crate of these picks? He has drawers for different tools and things. And these picks are from his personal collection. Now, when you're a guitar tech, guitar players order these picks by the thousands, because if you've ever been up close at a concert, you know that the guitar players at the end of the show and in between songs are always throwing the picks out to the crowd. And so the guitar tech would always be in charge of reordering these picks. So he doesn't have tons of them with him in his road case. I'm sure he's got boxes of them hidden somewhere, but he was pulling these out of the drawer. Like he had like a Ziploc baggie of like all these assorted picks, and he was like going through them and pulling out the ones that he wanted to give me. And I was like losing it, because for me, just Prince is enough. Just Adam Jones is enough. For me, Richie Sambora, enough. Malcolm Young, and then obviously he gave me one of Chris Trainor's guitar picks because I didn't have one. So I literally, without being a total creep, wanted to crawl inside this guy's brain and just kind of burrow around for a while, because this guy's stories. So to not, obsess as much as I want to, watch the show, had a great time. One of the other things that I wanted to show you guys, one of the other pictures I wanted to show you guys, we were hanging out after the show, and I got a chance to, sit down with Kevin Martin from Candlebox, got to take pictures. And one of the famous men that was backstage at the show that night at the MGM Music Hall is a guy named Chewy. And Chewy is famous in rock circles. No, he's not in a band. No, he's not one of the techs. Chewy is Gavin Rossdale's dog. That's Chewy. Now, Gavin has had Chewy for, I believe, 10 years. Oops, sorry. When Gavin came into the AAF studio, the final time that I interviewed him before AAF went off the air, he brought Chewy with him. He tours with him everywhere. And you can't really see it in this picture. Sorry, I'm making you guys dizzy. I'm trying to shrink it down. You can't really see it, but he has a little vest, and Chewy has a miniature backstage all access laminate that he wears at the show all the time. And so I needed to take a picture of Chewy because he's just so friggin' cute. If you want to see the pictures that I took with Chris and Gavin and Kevin Martin, those are up on social media. But these pictures I didn't put up on social media, and at least I don't think I did. I got home at like 3:30 in the morning. It was a late night. But so as we were getting ready to leave, right, the bands had, I believe, a 2:00 bus call, which is when they have to be on the bus to get ready to go to the next town. And they were going to DC, so they had a long drive. So me, Chad Brandolini, just a bunch of us, Chris DeMaria, who is another longtime friend of mine, we all were walking outside, and the guitar tech was on the bus and saw us coming. And he's friends with my friend Chris, so he came back off the bus and just started talking again about like road stories. And he told us that he has one of Prince's guitars that Prince gave him. And he was going through his phone, and he showed us a picture of Prince playing this guitar early in his career. And it was a picture kind of taken from like behind Prince, so you could see the headstock of the guitar, and you could see the serial number etched in the back of the headstock of the guitar. And he started talking about how Prince had given him this guitar, how Prince's estate had asked if he would donate the guitar to the museum that they have at Paisley Park. But the reason why he didn't give up the guitar is that he knew he would get put behind glass and would never get played again. And he's a guitar tech and was someone that was beloved by Prince. And he wanted guitar players to play this guitar. So because this guy is so famous in guitar circles, he has a lot of friends that are guitar players that he loans this guitar out to. So later on this year, we are supposed to get a new Lenny Kravitz album. And I was told that 4 of the songs on this new Lenny Kravitz album were written on this guitar. that Prince gave to this guitar tech. And that the guitar was actually on the bus because he was bringing it to Steve Vai to borrow, to play and write songs on. Because it's one of those things where if you believe an old home has energy that's like in the wood, the same thing would go for a legendary guitar as well. And so he had it with him because he's taking it to give it to Steve Vai for a while, and he was going to borrow it to write songs on. He goes, wait, I'm just going to go get it. And we're all standing outside on Jersey Street next to Fenway at 2:30 in the morning. And he comes out with this guitar case, puts it on the sidewalk, and opens it up and takes the guitar out. And we're all like this. And he was like, the only thing I'm going to ask is that you guys don't take pictures of it because I want to keep this thing off the internet as much as possible. He's just a super private person and just didn't, but he let us hold it. And so behind Fenway Park at like 2:30 in the morning, I got a chance to hold one of Prince's guitars. And I wish that I could have taken a picture, but I just didn't want to be disrespectful. He asked me not to, and I 100% understood and respected that. But it was a highlight. And that is why we weren't here in the War Room last week, because I had that adventure that I couldn't wait to tell you guys about. So all of these guitar picks that I actually left with led to some inspiration that I'm going to talk to you guys about coming up. So it was an amazing show. The MGM Music Hall is a great place to see a show, and it was awesome. Speaking of concerts, I want to remind you guys about the big gig coming up fast on April 29th at the DCU Center. Breaking Benjamin, Falling in Reverse, The Pretty Reckless, Beartooth, and Dorothy are all going to be there. And the big gig originally was supposed to celebrate WAF's 50th anniversary. Then we had it as a way to kind of eulogize the radio station we lost 3 years ago tonight. And now the big gig is going to continue as an annual event, and it's going to be kind of an indoor festival. And the lineup, as you can see, is fantastic. Mike Shue and I are going to host the event again this year. It's coming up April 29th at the DCU Center, and tickets are available now. You can get all the details if you go to the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Nasso says, no, Eric Clapton is the best at the guitar. Look, this is a subjective thing, right? It's going to depend. There are a lot of people that say that Jeff Beck is the greatest guitar player. There's a lot of people that say that's all well and good, but those guys playing the blues in the 30s and 40s that helped to invent rock and roll are the greatest guitar players. There are other people that say it's Eddie Van Halen. It just, it's an extremely subjective thing. And the great thing about it is that every generation of guitar players carries on that legacy of those that have come before. And so the fact that people are still talking about these legends, that are still nerding out when they get to hold one of their guitars, just proves how much they changed the face of music. Hendrix, says Voorhees. Yeah, it just, we could go on and on. It's one of the things we talk about so often on the podcast. Guitar tone, riff writing, songwriting ideas, inspiration, which is why I love music so much, because you're never going to get to a final answer because it is so subjective, but it's so much fun to argue about. All right, we got to do the cocktail of the week. Every week we go through some of the cocktail books that I have here in the War Room, and we look to put some of our booze collection to good use. And I thought this was interesting. Ironic that we're talking about the goats of guitar playing. This is called the Superior. It seems a little weird, but it's 2 ounces of white rum, an ounce of sweet vermouth, and an ounce of sweet vermouth, an ounce of lemon juice, 2 fresh apricots, and it says a slice of orange to garnish. Blend the ingredients until frozen. pour into a large goblet. Whenever we get to make a drink in a goblet, I am all in. Garnish with the orange slice and serve. And so obviously, if it's going to have apricot, there's got to be, where is it? Here's the superior right here. Garnishing with lemon sugar or lemon salt and apricot also. And I think apricots kind of go good with cinnamon as well. So maybe a little sprinkle of that as well. But that's called the superior. White rum, sweet vermouth, lemon juice with 2 fresh apricots, a slice of orange to garnish, a blender, and obviously some ice. That's called the superior. Delicious. Miggy says Prince played over 30 instruments and was a hell of a musician. Yeah, I mean, that's the amazing thing. And it comes up in the podcast too, whether musical ability is learned or inherited. And there are just those people that can learn by ear, that have perfect pitch, that have the ability to play any instrument just by trying. And Prince is an example of one of those people. Stevie Ray, Jeff Beck, Clapton, period, end of story. Yeah, just so many great guitar players. All right. We also need to talk about the podcast because we didn't get together last week. So we've got a couple of recaps. First of all, we got a recap. Speaking of great guitar players, Clint Lowry from Seven Dust. Had a chance to sit down and talk to Clint, somebody that is one of my oldest and dearest friends in music. And just getting to catch up with him, getting to talk to Clint about some of the old days, about some of the 24/7 Dust times that we had, but also about getting older and reprioritizing your life, having multiple creative outlets. He goes to talk about the solo EPs that he releases as a way for him to just be creative and kind of refresh that well of creativity that he then puts to good use with Seven Dust. And so, sorry, my knee locked up there. So talking to Clint is always fun. And we spent a lot of time talking about John Connolly, who is his fellow guitar player in Seven Dust, who's running the marathon this year, the Boston Marathon. Rob says, I want to photograph the big gig. Rob, you know who to call. Mass Concerts, you know what to do. Jessica says, Clint and Sully go way back. Oh, yeah, they go way back for sure. Let's see. Michael says Prince albums have cool liner notes, all noises on this album by Prince, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, Prince is one of those kind of, those eccentric. You're crazy when you're like not a legend or when you're poor, and you become eccentric when you're legendary like Prince or when you're filthy rich. And he was definitely eccentric. If you go back and listen to Jimmy Fallon talking about playing ping pong with Prince, he's told the story, and it's pretty hilarious. Questlove from The Roots was kind of there to witness the whole ping pong thing, or at least the end of it. Let's see. Mark says, we're docking your pay. What does your shirt say? Lisa, I'll show you the shirt in a minute. Godsmack has a new song out. Well, the new record's coming out on Friday, which we'll be talking about. So we got to recap. I got to catch up with Clint, which was great because I hadn't seen him since COVID started, since the last time Seven Dust was in town. So that's episode 140 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And because we didn't get a chance to announce the podcast last week on the show, obviously episode 141 of the podcast featured Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge. And if you listen to the episode, we talked a lot about his Frank Sinatra tribute album that's raised over $1 million so far. He has got this newfound inspiration for doing volunteer work. His daughter was born, Stella was born with Down syndrome during the pandemic, and he recorded this album of Frank Sinatra cover songs with the intent of donating all of the proceeds to the National Down Syndrome Foundation. He's raised over $1 million. And if you go back and listen to the episode, he was talking about being in Vegas and being able to actually take photos in Frank Sinatra's dressing room. And that's where he took this picture, which is just crazy that the casino built a room that was literally only for Frank when he played there, because he was very specific about how he wanted his dressing room set up, and no one else was ever able to use it as a dressing room. They let Mark go in there just to take photos because he was recording this album of Sinatra cover songs with members of Sinatra's original band, which is just mind-blowingly crazy. So if you didn't check out the corresponding playlist for episode 141, it's got a bunch of his Sinatra covers in it, and it's fantastic. But Mark and I talked about a lot of stuff. We obviously talked about Jeff Beck and Eddie Van Halen, because Alter Bridge is touring with Mammoth WVH. We talked a lot about Wolfgang, or as he calls him, Wolfie. We also talked about Miles Kennedy and the story that he told on the podcast about being too embarrassed to bring guitar riff ideas to Slash, and then Slash's rebuttal to that on the podcast. So all of that got brought up. So that was last week's episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast, episode 141. And coming up tonight at midnight, this week, our new episode 142, coming back to the show for the third time, Tyler Connolly from Theory of a Dead Man. Theory getting ready to release their new album, Dinosaurs, which is coming out on St. Patrick's Day. That's the same day that U2 is releasing their Songs of Surrender. It's the same day Pop Evil is releasing Skeletons. And recently, T-Pain, hip-hop artist, auto-tune extraordinaire user T-Pain, who won The Masked Singer as the monster, he announced he's releasing a cover album on St. Patrick's Day, the same day as Theory of a Dead Man, U2, and Pop Evil. And T-Pain is covering Journey and Black Sabbath on this upcoming album, which is hilarious. But Tyler Connolly, we talked about a lot of stuff. Anytime he and I get together, the topics are just random. But Tyler Connolly and I obviously talked about the upcoming album. We talked about the Rock Resurrection tour that is going to be at Roadrunner this Saturday night, which is Theory of a Dead Man, Skillet co-headlining with Saint Asonia. And we just got caught up on a lot of stuff. So super excited for another completely tangent-filled conversation with one of my favorite people to have on the show, because he's just so fun. Tyler Connolly from Theory of a Dead Man is my guest this week. I think it was on episode 34 and episode 80, if I remember correctly. So having him back on the show, I'm super psyched. So Tyler Connolly, episode 142, goes live at midnight tonight. And I want to tip you guys off that you're going to get a bonus episode of the podcast this week. So a bonus episode of the podcast is coming out Thursday night, and it's going to feature another return guest, Adam Gontier from Saint Asonia, because they are also going to be at the show at Roadrunner in Brighton on Saturday night. And so I wanted to check in with Adam. I wanted to talk to him about a lot of stuff, including the Saint Asonia tour and the fact that Mike Mushak from Stained isn't doing this leg of the tour, and to kind of get the skinny on why, if there was drama within the band, if it's because of Stained, because we know that Stained is working on some stuff, and just trying to get to the bottom of all of that. And the last time I went to Vegas, I actually got a call from Adam Gontier while I was there, and we talk about all of that coming up on the bonus episode. So full-length episode featuring Tyler Connolly is coming up at midnight tonight, and a bonus episode featuring Adam Gontier from Saint Asonia is coming up on Thursday night. Now, I bring all of this stuff up now because I'm headed to Vegas for the rest of the week, and we'll be back in time for the Rock Resurrection tour at Roadrunner on Saturday night. The same convention that I went to the week after WAAF got sold is the same convention that I'm going to the end of this week. I'm going to see Nita Strauss. I'm going to see Chris Daughtry. I'm going to see Arrow DeWild from Starcrawler. A lot of the people that you guys have heard from on the podcast. Pretty excited. So Mark says this playlist is going to kick ass. Yeah, both of them are going to be really good. The playlist for this weekly episode and also for the bonus episode as well. T-Pain covering Black Sabbath. That ought to be interesting. Well, what's crazy is that if you go back and watch some of the YouTube videos of The Masked Singer, T-Pain can really sing. But yeah, it is going to be interesting. He's doing a whole covers album. He's covering Strawberry Wine by Chris Stapleton. What? Yeah, T-Pain. It's going to be amazing. Annette says, the Patreon messaging is all messed up. How are the tickets being handled for Saturday night show? Annette, if you got tickets for Rock Resurrection because you have a Mistress Carrie backstage pass, the tickets will be at Roadrunner. Go to Will Call with your ID and tell them you're on the Mistress Carrie guest list. If your name is on there, obviously. If you got tickets from me already, your name will be on there, but you're going to be asked to provide ID, and they already have your name at the guest list already. So just tell them you're on the Mistress Carrie guest list. All right. I want to remind you guys that not only when you listen to the podcast, you get the weekly episodes and the bonus episodes, but you also get the sit rep, which you can hear Monday through Friday, rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates, concert announcements, all of this stuff. It's right around 5 minutes long and you get it every weekday. So you'll get the sit rep tomorrow, and then you'll get a couple days off from the sit rep because while it's possible for me to release podcast episodes while I'm away, it's not possible for me to produce sit reps while I'm away because they get produced just a few hours before they get released to make sure that the news is as topical as it can be, and I can't work that hard in Vegas. So there you go. Want to remind you guys of all of the places that you can listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast. Got notified that you can hear the podcast on Fountain as well. And you guys also know that not only can you hear the sit reps, but you can also listen to all of the bonus episodes and all of the regular weekly episodes. They get released automatically on YouTube as well. And I'm working very hard to get the back catalog of full-length episodes and bonus episodes uploaded on YouTube. But it's been up on, the podcast has been available on YouTube for about a month now. And I'm working on getting all of the back episodes out. So that's happening slowly. But obviously the full-length episodes, the archive is still available in all of these places and at mistresscarrie.com if you want to listen to it. And we're holding steady at 149 countries around the world listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. Pretty impressed that we've got Central America pretty much filled up, South America all filled up, and we're just missing some places in Asia and Africa. But other than that, like pretty much the whole world at one point or another has had access to at least one episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast. So I want to thank you guys for always sharing all of the episodes because it's helping to grow the audience around the world. All right, so getting to my shirt, I wore my Pugs and Roses shirt tonight in honor of Guns N' Roses announcing today their massive stadium tour. Guns N' Roses are playing Fenway Park on August 21st. Believe it or not, they're letting Guns N' Roses play Fenway Park. The show is August 21st. The tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. through Ticketmaster. There are some pre-sales if you're a member of like the Night Train fan club and some of the other fan clubs. You can get some early access to tickets as early as tomorrow, but they go on sale to the general public Friday at 10 a.m. And another massive show that got announced, and I got to tell you guys, when I saw this announcement come through, I got a little like sentimental and weepy. You guys know the journey that we've been on with Jelly Roll since the beginning of last year when I did his first rock interview. Jelly Roll, coming from Nashville, was known as a hip hop artist and kind of as a country songwriter. And when his last album came out, they wanted to cross him over to rock because Dead Man Walking, they were like, this is a rock song and we want to get him on rock radio. And that's how I met him the first time. In the last year and a half, like 14 months, really, Jelly Roll has gone from someone that came on the show, and then that April, so in a little less than a year, Jelly Roll went from playing the Palladium, which was the first time I got a chance to see him live. He came back in September, opening up for Shinedown at the Xfinity Center on the Planet Zero World Tour. And now Jelly Roll is playing the Xfinity Center himself as the headliner on the Back Road Baptism tour. Now, you can see all of the names that are on this tour. He's only going to have a couple of openers each night, and they are rotating openers. So every date on the tour is going to have two of these artists. Ashley McBride, Chase Bryce, Elle King, Struggle Jennings, 3-6 Mafia, and Yellow Wolf are going to be rotating, opening up for Jelly Roll on this tour. Jelly Roll has 4 shows in New England. He's going to be at the Xfinity Center. He's going to be up in Bangor, Maine. He's going to be at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion in Guilford, New Hampshire. And he's also going to be down, I believe, in Bridgeport, Connecticut. All 4 of those shows are up on the concert calendar, as well as the Guns N' Roses show. All of Jelly Roll's tickets also go on sale Friday morning at 10 a.m. And you guys, when it comes to Jelly Roll, this is another example that when I introduce you guys to an artist that you may or may not have ever heard of, and I say it's our job to really see what's out there and experience all of this new music and give these artists a chance, because there isn't a radio station that plays a lot of new rock music the way that WAF used to. A lot of artists like Jelly Roll didn't have a place to start. And it goes to show you that without any real radio airplay, that listeners like you guys, music fans like you guys, listening to a podcast like mine have helped Jelly Roll go in a year or a year and a half by the time he gets here on this tour, in a year and a half from going to headlining the Palladium to opening up for Shinedown at the Xfinity Center to headlining the Xfinity Center in like 17 months or something. It's because of you guys and the fact that you guys are giving these newer artists an opportunity, that you're recognizing the platform and you're going, you know what? I'm going to hear them out. Whether or not I like it or not, I'm just going to give it a shot. It's just amazing to me. So all of the shows are listed on the concert calendar so that depending on where you're going to be, I know a lot of you guys are saying, wait, August 21st, it's a Monday night. That sucks. But don't forget, they've got to put these concerts in the windows where the Red Sox are on road trips or during the All-Star break, because they can't have concerts and a baseball game in the same day. It takes days to build these massive stages at Fenway Park, and they got to take advantage of the days when they can get them, and that's why Guns N' Roses is playing on a Monday night. Mark says, Son of a Sinner made me cry the first time, and hearing it live is even more like gut-wrenching. What's up, Heidi? Jessica says, I love Shinedown and their new song. Yeah, the whole Planet Zero record is just great. If you go to my blog, speaking of Shinedown, by the way, before we go off on another tangent, go to my blog. They got interviewed. Brent Smith from Shinedown got interviewed by Riff in Detroit, by Meltdown. They did this really cool thing called Track by Track, and they take an album because the debut Shinedown album is getting ready to celebrate its 20th anniversary, which is like crazy later on this year. And so they went through track by track of the debut album, Leave a Whisper from Shinedown, and went through all of the songs and talked to Brent Smith about the writing process of the record. And because they reissued Leave a Whisper to put Simple Man on it after their appearance on my show, they re-recorded it and put the re-recorded version, not my exclusive version of it. Meltdown asked him about Simple Man, and Brent told the whole story, gave me credit, the whole thing. I put that video up in my blog, by the way, in case you want to go and check it out. Because if you're a real fan of the original Shinedown record, Brent Smith goes song by song of Leave a Whisper and kind of talks about some of the inspiration of all of those songs on the record. So the video is up in my blog if you guys want to check that out. Okay. Also want to remind you guys about Boston Calling. Coming up fast, Memorial Day weekend at the Harvard Athletic Complex. The Foo Fighters are getting ready to announce who's going to be playing drums for the band moving forward. There's also a lot of rumors that the Foos could be coming out with a new record next month. I have not heard anybody confirm that, but as it is with the Foo Fighters, they are usually really good at keeping things under wraps. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were going to come out with some new music. I think everybody is so creative in the Foo Fighters that after a loss like Taylor Hawkins, it doesn't surprise me that they would turn to wanting to filter those emotions, which is how the Foo Fighters started in the first place, was Dave Grohl just starting to write songs after the death of Kurt Cobain. So the Foos and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, night number 1, then Lumineers and Alanis Morissette, night number 2, Paramore and Queens of the Stone Age, night number 3 of Boston Calling. Want to remind you guys about this show. Of course, we were talking about it because of the podcast, the Rock Resurrection Tour, Saturday night at Roadrunner, which, by the way, beautiful venue. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's 3,500 seater. It's right on Guest Street, right across from the Warrior Ice Arena and the old New Balance building where WAF was for 20 years. It's pretty crazy to see how they were able to fit a giant venue like Roadrunner in there. And again, a brand new venue, beautiful, big bars, huge bathrooms. Sight lines are great. Just a great place to see a show. So this show is happening Saturday night. If you guys are looking for something to do, there may still be some tickets available. Disturbed with Ginger at the Xfinity Center coming up on August 18th. Those tickets are on sale right now. Static X, Fear Factory, Mushroom Head, Dope, and Raven Black at Big Night Live coming up on March 21st. Big Night Live is down at the Garden. The Foreigner Farewell Tour with Loverboy at the Xfinity Center coming up on August 5th. I'm telling you guys, trying to keep up with all of the shows has been insane that are getting announced. And I also wanted to make sure that the concert calendar was getting expanded with all of the dates in New England. So all the way up to Bangor, Maine, all the way down to Bridgeport, Connecticut, out to Springfield. Just really wanted to give you guys options because a lot of people, especially in the summer, are on vacation. You might be closer to a date in New Hampshire that you didn't know about. So I want to make sure all of these shows are listed properly on the website. Aaron Lewis at Foxwoods on April 22nd. The Dropkick Murphys getting ready for St. Patrick's Day coming up next month. 2 shows at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway. 1 show at the House of Blues. Tickets for all 3 of those shows are on sale now. Jerry Cantrell on St. Patrick's Day at the Cabot Theater in Beverly. Blink 182 at the Garden coming up on May 21st. The Dave Matthews Band at the Xfinity Center coming up on June 17th. I told you, a lot of shows. Anvil on April Fool's Day at the Middle East. Avatar at the Paradise Rock Club on May 24th. Steel Panther at the Palladium coming up on March 19th with Crowbot, who you guys have heard on the podcast. Trying to get Michael Starr from Steel Panther on the podcast before they come to town. So hopefully I'm going to be able to make that work as well. Speaking of new releases, the new Godsmack album, Lighting Up the Sky, comes out this Friday. Got a chance to hear it over my birthday weekend in Vegas at the end of September. I think you guys are going to love this 8th and final Godsmack record. It comes out on Friday. Also out on Friday, Motorhead, Bad Magic, Seriously Bad Magic comes out. Dope, Blood Money Part 0 comes out this Friday. Gorillaz, Cracker Island comes out. And speaking of Steel Panther, their new album, On the Prowl. These are all coming out this Friday. Okay, speaking of tickets for this show this weekend, I don't get to do it often, but I try to do it as often as I can to give you guys here in the War Room that don't have Mistress Carrie backstage passes the opportunity to win some tickets every now and again. I don't have many tickets left, but if you would like to go see the Rock Resurrection Tour on Saturday night, Theory of a Dead Man, Skillet, and Saint Asonia at Roadrunner, click the Message the Studio button at mistresscarrie.com. Do it right now because these tickets are going to be gifted out. First come, first serve. Put your name, your email address, and put Theory in the subject line and tell me that you would like to get a pair of tickets to go and see the tour on Saturday night. I will be back from Vegas in time to see the show and I will see you. So Just a few pairs of tickets up for grabs. But if you want to go to the show, put Theory in the message line. Give me your full name and your email address. Send me a message. Click the message the studio button at mistresscarrie.com and let me know you want to go to the show. And I will do my best to accommodate as many ticket requests as I can. No mail call this week, guys. Nothing in the mailbox, so nothing to report. But you never know what's going to pop in there. I've been told to expect some interesting things from some bands that are going to be on the podcast in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. Coming up in the Mistress Carrie online store. First of all, I want to remind you guys that Mistress Carrie merchandise is available at Joe's Albums in Worcester, right on Main Street, around the corner from the Palladium, the DCU Center, and 100 FM The Pike. And one of the things that I'm going to be adding to the store very soon, I got inspired by the Bush concert, and I felt really bad that I didn't have anything but stickers to give to Chris Trainer's guitar tech for giving me all of those amazing guitar picks. And so I decided I wanted to have Mistress Carrie guitar picks, which have been designed and ordered. I asked the Backstage Pass holders for some suggestions on what I should put on the guitar picks. And they gave me some great suggestions. They are mocked up. So if you have a Backstage Pass, I'll show you guys the mock-ups. It's going to take a few weeks to get them produced. And so I would say probably by this time next month, I should have the guitar picks in hand. And I am going to make bundles of guitar picks. If you're a guitar player and you want some new picks, I am going to make bundles of guitar picks available in the online store. But they're also something that if you order something else from the store, you might get little bonus. I try to always, if you order something from the store, to put in little goodies, whether it be stickers, pens, koozies. It depends on what you buy, but I always try to put some extra goodies in there as well. And so if you order stuff off the website, you might get a guitar pick in your package as well. But if you just want to order some guitar picks, I'm going to make them available as well. Go and check out her rack, says Shannon, the Mistress Carrie rack at Joe's Albums. Jessica says, I love your hair. Thank you. I went and saw Linda today, which explains how the curls are still in my hair at this hour when normally I can't get them to stay. Carol's asking, how's my shoulder? My shoulder's better. Still not 100%, but getting there. Mom, my sister was with her today, sending me pictures of the two of them eating junk food, and she's good. We're having a good day today, so thank you for asking. If you're celebrating your birthday today on February 21st, happy birthday, first of all. Second of all, you share your birthday with Vince Welnick from The Tubes, with Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads, David Geffen, legendary producer, manager, record company owner. David Geffen was born on this day, as was legend Nina Simone. So if today's your birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Cheers to you guys. And once again, to my WAF family, to everyone that I ever worked with, to those that are no longer with us, Chris Engel, the former producer of the Hillman Morning Show, Rocco and Ozone, the members of the staff that have left us, the legends that crossed through those doors over the years, to everybody that was there, that was either a member of the street team, an intern, to the accountants, the promotions and marketing department, the engineers, the producers, all of my other DJs, obviously to my brother from another mother, Mike Shue, to our former program director, Joe, who was there in the studio with us at the very end. Cheers to everybody in the WAF family. It's been a very weird last 3 years, but I wouldn't trade all the years we spent together for anything. So cheers to you guys. All right. A couple more things, and then I got to run because I got to pack for Vegas. If you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, I am going to be announcing later on tonight, I believe. I got to double check my flights and everything, but I believe we're going to get together Sunday night for our monthly live stream. So I'm going to put up a message for you guys either from Vegas or before I leave for Vegas. But we're going to do our monthly live stream coming up this Sunday night, and I'll give you guys the time. I just need to double check some of the radio shows that I have to do on Sunday. And then I'll give you guys the specific time of when we can get together for the exclusive stream we're doing on Sunday night. You also get tipped off on who's going to be coming up on the podcast, so you can submit interview questions. You get travel blog updates. So obviously my trip to Vegas is going to be documented for Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass holders. You get early access to event tickets and also exclusive concert ticket giveaways. And there's a lot of concert tickets that are going to be up for grabs for you guys in the next few months. I've got a ton of tickets that I'm being promised and that I have asked for. And speaking of events, I wanted to remind you guys, this is going to happen. I toured the location. I sat down a couple weeks ago with the people putting this special event together. I'm going to give you guys more information on it in the next few weeks once we get all of the artwork, the flyers, everything absolutely finalized. But I can tell you, we are going on deployment for a special Saturday night episode of Cocktails in the War Room. It is going to happen on May 6th. Details are coming, but we are going to be encouraging all of you guys to come out. There's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be our friends from Regimental Distillery. Regimental Whiskey is going to be there. Andy Biggio, who wrote the book The Rifle, is going to be there signing books. I believe he's even going to be bringing some of the World War II veterans he wrote about in the book to do a book signing at this event. It's going to be great. And we're going to do a special live episode of Cocktails in the War Room. And it's going to be accessible in Central Mass. So block this off because we need to get the War Room family together for this and come out in droves. It's been a while since we've been able to get together, especially maskless and not social distancing. And it's happening on May 6th. This is a done deal. The details are coming. So mark it down. Don't put it in pencil anymore. Write that shit in pen. And the Backstage Pass holders are going to know about it before anybody else. Also, the social media handles where you can find me, pretty easy. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, and Patreon. And I got an update that the skill to get the podcast working on smart speakers is not too far away. They're still working on it and finalizing some of it, but it is going to be up and running very soon. And so I'll let you guys know about that too. All right, guys. Tyler Connolly, episode 142, comes out at midnight tonight. Thursday night, a bonus episode of the podcast featuring Adam Gontier from Saint Asonia is coming out. And I will see you guys at the Rock Resurrection Tour on Saturday night at Roadrunner with Theory of a Dead Man, Skillet, and Saint Asonia. And if you have a backstage pass, be prepared for all of the Vegas shenanigans that are coming. So I'm off the radio for the next few days while I'm traveling. I'll be back on the radio on Sunday and obviously, Saturday actually. I'll be back on the radio and I'll see you at the show Saturday night and then Sunday on the radio, Sunday night for the live stream. And at some point I'm going to need to nap. So just put it in for the day off from work. Let's see. No, Sick New World is in May, I believe. And the When We Were Young Fest is in October. But no, I'm going out for a radio convention, but there's going to be a bunch of shows that I'm going to, and I'm going to go and check out a bunch of new bands in Vegas as well and see which ones we're going to try and help break next because there's some great new music coming and they need help in New England and we're going to give it to them. So, all right, guys. Thank you guys. Sorry we missed last week. But lots of great stuff coming. And, the last 3 years have been hard. You guys have seen me go through all the stages of grief over the last 3 years here in the War Room. And 3 years ago tonight, my heart broke. And I was never really sure if it was going to go back together. And I think anytime anything breaks, even if you put it together, the break leaves a scar. And while I miss everything that I had, you guys have helped me have things that I never thought that I would ever have. And that's why you guys will always have such a special place in my heart. So good night to my War Room family. I'll see you guys next week. And obviously, I'll be back if I survive Vegas. All right, good night, guys. Oh, wait. You want to see something funny? Yeah. That's what she's been doing for like the last half hour. All right, good night, guys.